All right, back for another week on the DSP. Joining me, he has just dropped a brand new album last Friday. It's called Where Am I Now? His name is Matt. He's from Camarano. Bro, how are you feeling? The project is out. The world has got to see it and listen.
Hey man, it's good to be on the show. Cheers for having me. I'm pumped. It's it's a real relief and a release to get out this body of work. And it just not only am I proud of it, but it frees up a lot of mental space when you finally fully realize a project and it's out in the world and people are connecting with it. It's a special time.
What's that feeling like for you, And I talk to a lot of artists about this because obviously you finished this project a while ago and then you've got it mastered, mixed, it's sat there and you have this gap of time where you kind of, I guess, switch off from the mentality of what you were in during that project time. And then now you kind of have to switch back on and try to find that space again. Is it easy for you to just jump back into it or is it tough because you've moved on past it?
Yeah, it can be a challenge to engage with the content again, but I try to see it as a way to finally move on and reflect on what was happening in that period. So yeah, on one hand, you've got to put yourself back in the moment where you made some of those songs, and the emotions in some of the material are hard to stomach. So you kind of have to relive that every time you release or perform the song. But it's if you approach it in the right way, it can be therapeutic.
Once you've wrapped up a project, you've put a bow on it, you're fine with it, that's how it is. Is that for you almost like a way of leaving those feelings, those thoughts, those relationships in the past? Is it a really clear-cut closure for you at those moments? Or do you sit with it for a long time after?
That's interesting. I think I really obsess about a song until it's finished. And then as soon as it's done, I rarely listen to it again. It's like that thing is in another container or something. But I don't think I can say that I never revisit those ideas because there's a lot of songs that contain themes which I build on and that I continue to revisit. But maybe it's just this particular perspective in this exact style that I'll never do again. But the overarching theme, I think there's a handful that I continue to go back to, and I will for the remainder of my music making time.
You've got your launch party for the album coming up this weekend. And, we've been through hard times throughout the world for musicians. We've obviously had isolation, we've had lockdown, we've had restrictions with, who you can perform in front of, how many people you can perform in front of. For you, this last year period of time, has it been, like for some artists, inspiring to be able to have that time to yourself and to reflect? Or has it been tough because, performing is such a huge part of being a musician?
My original plan was to complete this album and release it in 2020. So at the start of the process, it was all going to plan. And then when everything started unraveling, I had to shift my approach. So yeah, it did take maybe 2 or 3 weeks while I adjusted with what was happening. But after that point, it was actually crucial in me moving through that frame of mind. It gave me something to focus on, something to keep me tethered. So it really was important. Just the process of making the album was important for me in getting through those times of uncertainty. And yeah, fortunately for us in Perth, we're one of the lucky areas.
Mhm.
We've been largely, comparatively unaffected, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
In terms of performing, I've always considered this project as more of a recording, more of a production project. The band and the performance side of it is it's heaps of fun and it's hanging out with friends and it is hugely fulfilling when we get to play a show. But I'm not relying on that for where the inspiration from the music is drawn from. It's not driving the ship.
Let's talk about the music. This album, 10 songs, correct? And I guess each song has its different challenges, and I saw somewhere you wrote that some songs do just kind of fall out of you. They just they write themselves, and then others are stressful, or you really sit there for a long period of time. Why do you think that is, for you and also for other artists, that some songs kind of just fall out of you? They're just as they are.
I think that's one of the mysteries of songwriting. And
Mhm.
it's, I mean, the whole mystery and the myth is part of why it's so enticing to continue writing songs. So part of me doesn't want to get too analytical and analyze where songs come from. But I think when you're lucky and you get one of those songs that just, they fly out, it feels like a gift, and it feels like you've been handed something. It doesn't necessarily feel like I made this thing. I was just lucky to be open to it in that moment. I
Mhm.
kind of visualize it as there's these that songs are almost their own entities, and
Yeah.
they'll be floating around, and if they find the right conditions, which is say a songwriter or someone open to those ideas, they'll enter, or they'll at least allude to an idea which can be expressed, and then it's up to you if you're available in that moment to be the channel.
Mhm.
But yeah, other songs, they're a bit more stubborn, and you've got to
Mhm.
keep digging until you find the most pure form. And in this album, yeah, there's a handful of songs that I wrote and I recorded in the space of a couple of hours, and
Mhm.
they have a real identity to them. And there's others that there's several iterations. There's band versions, there's electronic versions, there's acoustic versions. But during that process, you just work out what is appropriate for this song, and the challenge is trying to stay patient when you've got one of those on your hands.
You got the first song on this album is, the title track of the album. Um, why was that song, I guess, important for you to start off the album? I have my thoughts listening to it, but for you, why is it placed there? Title track, first song, let's go.
Yeah, well, I think a couple of reasons. Sonically, it's pretty it's indicative of the rest of the songs. It has all of the bits that we're about to explore in the album to come.
Hmm.
And thematically, it kind of sets it up, as in there's a bit of ambiguity in how things open up. And this idea of the title track and the album being "Where Am I Now?" and you're about to explore or go on a journey to potentially answer that question, or
Hmm.
at least explore those kind of themes. I think it really allows I'm hoping it allows the listener to sort of inject themselves and invest early in the album and be like, okay, what's going to happen here? What
Hmm.
what are we going to explore? What kind of sounds am I about to hear? What's this guy about?
Kind of where are you now in compared to, you dropped your first EP back in 2018, then you dropped another one in 2019. We hit 2021 and we've now got an album from you, the full body of work. Where are you now in compared to that 2017, 2018, the start of Camarano?
I think artistically, I have a lot more confidence
Mm-hmm.
in my abilities, and also every song or every release, you get an understanding of your strengths and what exactly you're trying to say in each song. So I think in terms of my craft as a writer and a producer, I've come, I've made significant progress,
Mm-hmm.
um, while still trying to keep that childlike enthusiasm and that idea that I don't really know what I'm doing when I make a song. I think,
Yeah, yeah. I know. And you kind of have to have that freedom. And, I talk to a lot of artists when they get into a place where it becomes too much of a business, where they don't have that, let me just try anything and let me experiment and let me just be like I was when it didn't mean anything. And if you lose that, it does make it very tough, doesn't it?
that is the key to writing great songs. And in my opinion, there's the best ideas come when there's zero expectation, or you
Mm-hmm.
honestly don't know what you're doing. And before you know it, you kind of disappear in your little writing space, and next minute you've got this idea that's giving you goosebumps that you have to chase.
Did you face any expectations coming into the process of putting out an album after, dropping two EPs and kind of starting to, make some noise?
The main expectations were on myself. I really
Mm-hmm.
wanted to challenge myself. I knew that a body of work of 10 songs was going to be pushing it in terms of my, not only my, songwriting and engineering ability, but also just the stamina. It's a lot of work, and um, it's hard. It can be hard to finish things,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're most engaged when you've got something fresh and something new to latch onto. So yeah, the expectations were mainly on, can I finish this thing? And obviously it starts creeping in. Are people going to respond to it? Are they going to dig it? What sort of results am I going to get? But if you create from that point, then you're in trouble, because
Mm-hmm.
the decisions aren't coming from a place of purity. They're coming from expectation, and you're stuffed when that happens. That's when it all
Yeah.
just dries up in the dead.
On the album, there's one feature, Leah Grant. She comes in at, I think it's song number 6 or 7, "Fool for You." Was it? It's always interesting to see who people link up with on their debut albums and they collaborate, and you guys fit so well together. It's a beautiful song. How did that kind of come about for you to really like put that song on the album, because it does stick out as the one feature that you have?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to express this particular sentiment in the song, in the album as a whole, and we're good friends, and we have made plenty of music together in the past. So when the idea came into my head, we started exploring it together, and yeah, fortunately, it was she was the perfect fit for it. And she honestly, she makes the song. Everything that I write, it just sounds better when she sings it.
Isn't it beautiful when you have someone like that in pocket that you can just pull out when you need and go, "Hey, would you like to jump on this? I think it'd be better with you on it."
Absolutely, yeah. She elevates the song big time, and I'm lucky to have her on it.
So talk to me about the live performance aspect of this. You said that this was very much a production and writing project for you, and you didn't really think too much about that band side and what it would be like to perform. You've got your release party this weekend, and then I'm sure you will continue to perform this body of work live. How much work goes into transferring what you've done on this album to what you can do in the live performance?
That's a good one. And it sort of depends on the song, and it
Hmm.
depends on the ability of your bandmates. Lucky for me, I've got a band and they're amazing and they're great friends. But we take it on a song by song basis. So we'll start with bringing the song. I'll start with the most basic form of it, see if that feels good. You know when it does. You know, you can feel everyone connecting with it. If you don't find it in that arrangement, maybe you try bringing in backing tracks.
Hmm.
Maybe you try a different arrangement on a different instrument. But yeah, there's a fair bit of back and forth trying to get every song to feel good just in the moment with these people.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to be the same as the recording. It just has to be engaging. It could be
Yeah.
completely reimagined. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that was kind of my next question was, this performance that you will do for the album release, how true to the album sound is the performance going to be?
Some of the songs are with backing track and they're pretty close to the
Hmm.
album. And some of them are reimagined. They're turned into, you know, garage band versions of the songs where you just, it's like the first time you're in a band and you're really
Hmm.
excited and you're rehearsing these ideas with your friends and there's a certain emotion that is very potent if you can, if everyone's on the right page and the song is appropriate for it.
So you obviously finished this album a little while ago and you've been sitting on it. Are you in between still working fiercely on music, your next stuff, what's coming up? Does the sound already change? Does it sound different right now, what you're starting to write and produce?
After finishing that album, yeah, I jumped straight back into writing songs. The the production and the aesthetic of those, I have no idea what it's going to be like.
Hmm.
But I've sort of, after finishing the album, been making an effort to write and produce with other artists. And I think that'll be my focus until at least the end of this year.
Hmm.
I'd like to keep pushing that and seeing how I can serve other people's visions. I love doing that. And it gives me a break from my own sense of self, you know?
Yeah.
Not only is it time consuming and takes up a lot of resources, but also mentally, you're in a space where you're just thinking about me. You're thinking about my songs and what do I want? You kind of, or for me, I need to shift away from that at points and realize that there's other things, you know, there's other songs, there's other
Yeah.
contributions that you can make. And I think that's a better long-term approach to making music if you have moments where you can reset, you can see the bigger picture, and
Hmm.
then return to it when it feels fresh and you've got something to really say.
Because I guess you're so in connection with your music and, producing, writing, singing, you do all of it. Is there a difference in satisfaction that comes as well from working with other people and getting to really share those moments rather than them be individualistic ones?
It's good. I think I think I'm still just as fulfilled if the song at the end of it makes me feel something, you know?
Hmm.
If it's a song that I wrote and produced and by the end of it I get the goosebumps, I'm stoked. I'm high, you know, for a couple of days. That same
Hmm.
feeling happens when you do the same thing with another artist or songwriter. But there is something special about being able to share and communicate those things with an artist as you progress, you know? You're building
Hmm.
off each other's excitement. When one person is unsure about the idea, they can lift the other one up. And it's definitely more, obviously more collaborative, and it feels like you're part of something instead of the something.
Well, Matt, I appreciate you taking the time. This album, Where Am I Now, is out everywhere. It's an amazing body of work. You should be really proud of it. You know that you always have a home here on the DSP, and just continue to inspire through the gift that you've been given, bro.
That's, I mean, thanks for the chat. It was heaps of fun.